Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to our second Railbookers webinar. My name is Matthew Foy. I'm really excited to be here today. We're going to talk about one of the most iconic and possibly even the most famous train journeys of all, the Orient Express. I'm also really happy to announce that we're going to have some exclusive discounts and offers coming up at the end of this webinar, so please do stay tuned. One lucky person will win £50 off their next rail holiday, and we've also got some further exclusive discounts as well, so please do keep listening out for those. Before I introduce our guest speaker today, I'd just like to briefly take a moment to explain who we are and what we do. Many of you might have booked with Railbookers before, perhaps some of you have not yet done so. As you may know, we're the rail experts. We've been operating for over 10 years now, sending people around the world on our various train packages. We're the rail experts. We've got insider access working with all the train companies and hotel partners around the world. Traveling by rail offers unrivaled flexibility. Most of our trips we can start and finish whenever you would like to go, and all of the bookings are hassle-free because we take care of everything for you. That's the rail travel, but not just that, also the hotels, sightseeing, transfers, and whatever else you might like to have included. As you may have noticed from our website, we're an award-winning operator with numerous awards over the past couple of years, and don't just take my word for it, have a look at our customer feedback, which you can see at the top of our website as well. We operate package holidays by rail all across Europe, all of the main cities and destinations, and also across the USA and Canada too. Just take a look at that image of Canada on the right hand side. Fantastic way of exploring this beautiful country as traveling across by train. Different types of packages that Railbookers offer. Of course, we're famous for our independent rail journeys, flexible for you to explore all of the destinations that you visit at your own pace and see all of the things that you would like to see, as well as our shorter city breaks, perfect for the 1, 2 or 3 night breakaway by Eurostar or perhaps slightly further afield. Journeys by luxury and private train, of course, one of the most famous of those we're going to be talking about in just a moment, the Venice Simplon-Orient Express. New packages for later in 2016 are going to include our new rail and sail holidays and also a number of themed holidays also. Very briefly, just to show you some of the top selling popular destinations that we've been sending customers to this year, and I'll refer back to these a little bit later on after we've heard all about the Orient Express, but we've been having great feedback on Scandinavia this year. Lots of our customers have been visiting the famous Scandinavian capitals by rail, and some of what I like to call the old favorites, Italy and Switzerland. They're always popular year on year, but great popular destinations that are selling as well as ever this year. We've also got lots of people doing iconic coast-to-coast journeys across North America, the USA and Canada. Fantastic scenery and a great way to explore those wonderful vast landscapes. And at this time of year, traveling across Spain and Portugal, such as going to Andalusia, again, always very, very popular. Quick couple of our popular itineraries that are selling well at the moment and that we're getting great feedback on. Our iconic trip across Switzerland, incorporating the classic Glacier and Bernina Express, unrivaled scenery from those fantastic panoramic windows. The essential Andalusia package, which includes travel to those 3 great cities, Cordoba, Granada and Seville. Our journeys to the Italian lakes via the Swiss Alps, fantastic journey and great destinations at the end of them. Lake Garda, Lake Como and Lake Maggiore, all fantastic destinations. Traveling across Canada, coast to coast, from Toronto to Vancouver or vice versa, again, a real bucket list destination and beautiful scenery to admire from the train. And a new popular one for this year, really, I think, is the Polish Explorer. We've had a lot of interest in this package, a great way of seeing some of those iconic historic Polish destinations, Warsaw, Krakow, and many others, and that's proving to be really popular as well. Some of the rail journeys that we're famous for selling and really excited to talk about with any of our customers calling in. The one we're going to be talking about today, the Venice Simplon-Orient Express, as I said before, it's quite possibly the most famous train in the world. The Glacier and Bernina Express in Switzerland, I referred to that one just a moment ago, popular year on, year out. The Rocky Mountaineer, a real bucket list train, wonderful journey in the western side of Canada, and of course traveling coast to coast in the USA. Again, just a brilliant way of experiencing everything that this great country has to offer. While we're going through the webinar, if any of you have any questions you'd like to ask us, please do. You can ask us via the question box, which you can see on the screen now, and we'll be happy to provide you with an answer. We're going to try and answer as many of those questions as we can, so please do feel free to send us your questions as we go through. Now, it gives me great pleasure to pass you over to our guest speaker, Gareth Jones, who's our Senior Travel Consultant. Many of you, I'm sure, over the years have made bookings with Gareth. I've spoken to him over the phone about many of the great destinations that we offer here at Railbookers. So I'll pass you over to him. He's going to tell you all about the Venice Simplon-Orient Express. And in fact, you can see a picture of him on the screen just before he departed on that fantastic journey. And Gareth, you haven't aged a day.
Thanks very much, Matthew, and thank you everyone once again for tuning in to spend some time with us today. As Matthew mentioned, I was lucky enough to take the journey back in 2008, and I must say that photo, it does bring a smile to my face because I'm slightly less fresh-faced as I am now. The Orient Express dates back to its first journey from London to Istanbul in 1883. And with the increase in popularity of air travel, it ceased service in 1977. Then, in 1982, the original carriages of the original train were gradually gathered together and put back into working order. And the first Venice Simplon-Orient Express train departed London for Venice, and so became the journey we know today. This is a great map, I think, which shows the routes of the train. Once a year it still does make the journey from Paris to Istanbul. Sadly, it's incredibly popular and books up roughly 2 years prior. It's also a journey where you don't actually sleep on the train. You spend the overnights in hotels along the way. There are around 2 departures a year between London and Venice, which will pass through Vienna and Prague. So you can spend a couple of nights in those beautiful cities as well. But it's the more regular London to Venice journey that we'll be concentrating on today. The train, on average, runs 4 times each month from March to November. Sadly, outside of those months, it's just too cold through the Alps for the old train to pass. The journey begins with a leisurely departure from platform number 1 at Victoria Station just after breakfast. From here, you settle into the sumptuous surroundings of the original British Pullman carriages and meander through the Kent countryside. As you can see, I often think that this countryside that we're so used to really is beautiful. On board, you'll enjoy a champagne brunch service with all the other passengers, and the vintage 1920s restaurant carriages really are something to behold. It really is an amazing experience eating in such real, iconic examples of a bygone era. Just look at the craftsmanship there with the wooden seats and the beautiful light fittings. As you can see, the food and service are absolutely impeccable, and it's not long until the train pulls into Folkestone, and all on board are swiftly shuttled through the tunnel to Calais, where a brass band welcomes all onto the train with the Orient Express staff and their fineries. Here you're shown to your cabin, which is where you'll find the luggage you checked in before boarding at Victoria. It's really great that you just don't have to worry about it. It's fast-tracked all the way to France, and in your cabin when you arrive. After settling into your cabin and perhaps enjoying a drink in the bar, you'll soon be catching a glimpse of the beautiful white Cathedral of Sacré-Cœur in Paris and sitting down for dinner. Again, here you can see one of the restaurant cars lovingly restored to its original beauty. Some of the detailing is quite breathtaking. As I'm sure you're appreciating now, eating is one of the main factors and joys of the train journey. There are in fact 4 dining cars in total, but generally on each departure there are only 2 attached. It's not unfair to say each of the restaurant cars are a work of art in themselves, and the crisp white uniforms of the staff just whisk you back to the Roaring '20s and the Belle Epoque era. As you can see from the food here, it really is a dining experience akin to any Michelin-starred restaurant. All dietary requirements are catered for and an a la carte menu is available on board, but the food, together with the crystal glassware and beautiful bone china, make it an unforgettable dining experience. If I think I remember, absolutely, it's a beautiful piece of salmon that I enjoyed. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. The chefs on board only use the freshest of ingredients, and these are picked up along the way as the train snakes its way south. I really find it unfathomable just how creative and how skillful the chefs are to be able to produce such amazing food in such small, confined surroundings with the kitchen car.
If our customers have got any dietary requirements, are we able to pass those on? How does that work?
Absolutely, Matthew. From the point of booking, the staff here at Railbookers plus the bellman staff are really keen to make sure that they're kept up to date with any dietary requirements or any specific requirements of everybody on board. These are taken down straight away, and yeah, everything is taken care of. As the evening draws in and both the 2 seatings for dinner are finished, the bar is the natural place for all to be drawn. It really is the beating heart of the train and provides a really wonderfully relaxed atmosphere for all to enjoy the wee small hours.
And is that the dress code for everyone? Was everyone dressed like that when you travelled?
Not everyone, Matthew. I mean, of course, there is a dress code, you know, smart, but I was wearing just my work suit. I wasn't out of place. If you want to go all out for the 1920s regalia, tuxedos, etc., again, you're not going to be the only person doing it, but don't feel pressured. It really is a really relaxed, beautiful atmosphere on board. Everyone's in the same boat and everyone's there to enjoy themselves. If you do choose to turn in early, don't worry. As you can see here, there is a resident pianist in the bar, but the bar car is sufficient distance away from all the sleeping carriages to make sure that you won't be disturbed at all. Whilst you're sat for dinner, one of the stewards of the train will go into your cabin and change it from the seating setup to the sleeping setup. I think this picture gives you a really great idea of the details in each cabin and the actual size as well. The wooden paneling and the etching there is craftsmanship we just don't see in today's world. And as you can see at the back there, it is a bunk bed set for the sleeping. The steps to get up to the top bunk, that's where I slept. They're not too steep. And the great thing about the Orient Express train is it really is the most comfortable sleeper train in the world, in my humble opinion. I've slept on quite a few, and there are no squeaky little hinges hidden away anywhere. It really is a beautiful night's sleep. Now, the stewards that I touched on briefly earlier, there is one for each sleeping carriage. They are there for your complete beck and call. They cater for any needs you have. As you can see here, just the small fine details of even making up the bed. Everything is taken care of by these guys. They work really hard and they're a really good bunch as well. I think this is really helpful image because it gives you an idea of the 2 different types of sleeping accommodation on the train. On the right hand side, looking at it, the picture on the right hand side, that's just the Pullman carriage Pullman cabin, sorry, which is the normal standard cabin. That's it in its seating setup for daytime. And then on the right-hand side, you can see what is the cabin suite, which is essentially two Pullman cabins with the door between the two opened up. That way you have a separate seating and a separate sleeping area. You can just about make out in there, on the right-hand side of the image on the left-hand side, the white wash area, which includes a sink, everything you'll need, a mirror. I think also there's a hairdryer. On the right-hand side opposite there, there's quite a bit of storage for you to be able to hang your jacket, your clothes. The cabins, they're comfortable. They are compact, but they're incredibly comfortable. Now, you may or may not be aware, but there are no ensuite facilities whatsoever on the train. There are, however, large toilet areas at the end of each carriage. And as you can see here, no expense is spared with these. Again, the panelling is just unfathomable, just the detail and the light fittings, all of it is absolutely beautiful. Again, the steward for each carriage will be maintaining these and making sure that they are clean throughout the day and throughout the night. Here again is one of the stewards bringing breakfast, which is served in the cabin. You tell him what time we want breakfast and he'll bring it to you. It's beautifully freshly baked pastries, baked fresh on board, freshly squeezed orange juice, tea and coffee. This is the part of the journey where you really start enjoying some of the spectacular scenery that you're passing through. This is the train, I believe, meandering through to Innsbruck. Just picture yourself sat there enjoying those spectacular views, looking down the river to the beginning of the Dolomite Mountains. Really is absolutely jaw-dropping scenery. I remember actually going to the end of the carriage and opening one of the windows and the doors and just breathing in some of the alpine air. There's no other experience like it. There really isn't by rail. As the afternoon rolls on, you're served afternoon tea again in your cabin. You can, if you want, have a la carte lunch. I remember I was lucky enough to enjoy a beautiful, beautiful cheese board in the restaurant car for lunch with local cheeses from along the route. Again, freshly baked pastries, everything is freshly baked on board. I think this is the most spectacular part of the journey, where you're coming down the infamous Brenner Pass, which brings you into Italy. Just before this particular image, I remember myself just looking over the river and seeing banks of vineyards along the river. And that's Trento in the background, I think, there. As you see, it really is some stunning, stunning scenery. Arriving into Venice really is unlike arriving into any other city. Santa Lucia, in my opinion, is possibly the greatest train station in the world, just simply because you walk out on the steps at the front and there you have the Grand Canal at your feet. It's unprecedented. The great thing about the Orient Express train this year and onwards is that they also organise boat transfer to get you from the station to your hotel. So that takes out that whole worry away. If you haven't been to Venice, there really is no other place like it on earth. These images you're seeing here are not photoshopped, they are as it is in the city. Just imagine a city built on water. Some of the architecture has influences from a far field as Mongolia and China, Venice being the original end of the historic Silk Road. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. It's just Italian Renaissance at its peak. Now, the end of the train journey, of course, doesn't have to mean it's the end of the holiday. One very popular thing which we have inquiries coming in from the public here at Railbookers is to add on a trip to Rome at the end of the Orient Express journey. So after a couple of nights hotel accommodation in Venice, it's just a 3-hour zip on a high-speed line over to Rome, which brings a great little tonic to the waterbound ventures of Venice. Here you have the Colosseum. Just look at that. Rome being the centre of the Western civilization from 3,000 years ago. It has unbridled history. Here's another little package which we feature on our website, which of course you don't have to travel from London to Venice on the train. The train of course has to come back. You can quite easily fly out to Venice, enjoy some time there, and then get all the great experiences on board that travel back to London. A little secret, ladies and gentlemen, is it's also a very slightly better price, which is always good. If you don't have the time for the overnight journey down to Venice or back, the train of course passes through Paris. Travelling from London, you still get to experience the wonderful dining experience, but also you get the magic of Paris at the end, from where you're just 2 hours Eurostar journey back to London.
Thank you, Gareth. So I'm sure you'll all agree that was very, very informative. I think now we actually have some questions that have been coming in the course of the webinar, so let's just have a look and see if we can answer a couple of those. Okay, so the first question we have is come in from Bob, who is asking, how far ahead is it possible to book a journey on the Orient Express?
That's a good question, Bob. That's a good question. As a lot of European trains, I'm not sure if you're aware or not, generally have a 3-month booking window with an order for 3 months before. The Orient Express is great. At the moment, the departures up until the end of 2017 are available to book right now. So it's the old adage of it's always best to get in there as early as possible. At the end of the day, the Orient Express is a set train. It has set numbers of carriages. Once those cabins are sold out, they're not going to be adding more cabins on board.
Okay, we have another question that has come through from Mary, who is asking what your personal highlight was.
That's a really good question, Mary, and it's one which I have tried thinking about myself. But it might sound silly, but it's very hard, really. I think the dining experience is unforgettable. It's unforgettable. It really is. The food is that great. But for me personally, it's just the actual experience of the train. As said before, it is unlike any other train service in the world. There are other train services which may say they're also luxury trains. But I think it's the distance, you're on there just one night on board, the actual history of the train, the service on board, the overall experience of the Venice Simplon-Orient Express is unlike any other train experience in the world.
Thank you. We have another question that's come through from Mark, and he is asking whether you have to pay in full for this type of package.
That's a good question, Mark. It's a good question, especially for a product like the Orient Express. Absolutely not, no. Here at Railbookers, it's if you're booking well within the 3-month window of departure, it's just a 20% deposit that's required to secure your cabin and secure your hotel. Only 3 months before departure, that's when the full payment would be needed.
And I think we've probably got time to do one more. We have a question from Sue, who is asking whether it's possible to travel back to the UK by Orient Express as well as outbound.
Hi, Sue. Absolutely, yeah, it is absolutely, yeah. As I said, on our website, we do have packages including the Orient Express from Venice back to London. As I said, you get all the great experiences on board. You don't miss out on any of the dinner. It is a slightly different route back, but still beautiful scenery. But yeah, it sure is.
Fantastic. Thank you, Gareth. Okay, just now back to Railbookers, just to give you a little bit more information about where we travel to. A reminder that we do a range of packages across Europe, the USA, and Canada. So we travel across all 3 of those continents, and really is a fantastic way of experiencing the scenery that all of these destinations have to offer. If you just look at that picture of Canada, you know, that's the type of view that you can very easily get by crossing through that great continent by train. Different types of holiday packages that Railbookers offer, as I alluded to very briefly earlier. A lot of these journeys are all independent rail journeys, so you travel at your own pace. You can visit the things that are important to you, where you'd like to spend time, and also you really have the freedom to make the most of each individual trip. We have shorter city breaks too. They're perfect for a quick getaway, obviously very convenient for visiting destinations that Eurostar travels directly to, such as Paris and Brussels, but even further afield as well. As we've just seen, well, the Orient Express truly is a fantastic journey and really, really popular. We've also got a number of other private train journeys too. Later this year we're going to be introducing a number of rail and sail packages and also some more themed holidays, so there's always going to be plenty of variety and lots of different types of package available, all of which you'll be able to see on our website. I mentioned our top-selling destinations this year, and just to give an idea of what's popular at the moment and what we're getting lots and lots of questions about, this year we've really, in the last 12 to 24 months, we've seen lots and lots of inquiries for Scandinavia. We're getting lots of our customers being adventurous, doing the whole journey through to Scandinavia by train from London, with overnight stops on the way, perhaps in Cologne, and then visiting those great capitals, Copenhagen, Stockholm, Oslo, and also lots of them traveling through the fjords on our great Norway in a nutshell package. Again, the scenery there is just unparalleled, really. Italy and Switzerland, well, as you can see from those images, the destinations speak for themselves, don't they, really? We've got a great shot of Lucerne there, and also a fantastic shot of the canals in Venice. We always get plenty of customers traveling to those destinations, and the really nice thing is that it's great to combine the two. Enjoy some time in Switzerland with some great scenery, and then fantastic scenic train journeys through to Italy, traveling through the Swiss Alps, making the journey part of the trip, and then great destinations at the end of it. Given this time of year, trips to Spain and Portugal, they're always popular too, and again we're experiencing lots and lots of demand, lots and lots of customers calling up wanting to know more about train travel in North America, the USA and Canada. You can go coast to coast in both of those destinations. Real bucket list journeys, fantastic ways of experiencing the countryside and all of the wonderful scenery. Or you can do shorter journeys, for example, East Coast or West Coast in the USA too. So lots and lots of variety, great scenery and great destinations. Here's just a couple of our top itineraries we have at the moment. The first one is the classic Glacier and Venice Express. This one incorporates two of the most spectacular scenic journeys within Switzerland. Great panoramic windows on those trains, and fantastic UNESCO World Heritage Site listed scenery. This particular one, travel by train from London into Switzerland, and then 2 nights in Interlaken, and then the Glacier Express over to Kur for a couple of nights, and then a fantastic excursion on the Venice Express. A really memorable one, loads of great photo opportunities on that trip. Really spectacular scenery. Perfect summertime break. We've got lots of customers heading over to Spain this summer and also autumn too, and Andalusia is perfect for that combination of the 3 Andalusian cities of Granada, Cordoba and Seville. Really easy to do as well with a flight if you want, in and out of Madrid, and then incorporating high-speed rail travel in Spain to include all those great destinations. Or why not go the whole way by train as well, with some stop-offs on the way too if you fancy. Scandinavia, that's just an example of what I was talking about before. We're seeing lots and lots of customers doing the whole journey by train from London, breaking the journey in Cologne for a night stay by the Rhine, and then traveling through Germany up to Copenhagen, and then across the famous bridge into Sweden, onto Oslo, and finishing in Stockholm. Really memorable trip. And here's some of the Italian lake itineraries that we feature as well. We've got Lake Como, Lake Garda and Lake Maggiore, 3 fantastic, beautiful, iconic destinations, and a fantastic way to travel there is through the Swiss Alps, which all of these packages include. An overnight stopover in Switzerland, somewhere like Zurich or Lausanne, and then unparalleled scenery over the Gotthard Pass before arriving right in the heart of those lakeside destinations. And again, we can travel home by air or by rail, the choice is entirely down to you. And just take a look at that beautiful scenery. Again, Canada, somewhere that I'm sure we'd all like to travel to visit Niagara Falls while you're there too. And then heading on the Canadian across Canada through to Jasper and then Vancouver. Beautiful scenery, obviously passing through the Rockies in the western half of the trip as well. And again, real trip of a lifetime stuff and great memories, great photo opportunities that you can then treasure forever. And here's our trip to Poland, which we've seen lots of interest in this year. Again, this can be done either by air and then connecting rail travel in Poland, or overland from London as well, with perhaps an overnight stop in Cologne, or then overnight travel through to Warsaw, and then combining those fantastic historical cities, Warsaw, Gdansk, Wrocław, Poznan, and my favorite, Krakow. So now it's time to mention some of the exclusive discounts that I mentioned earlier in the webinar. As a special thank you for taking the time to watch this webinar with us, we'd like to offer all of you an exclusive attendee discount. It's £50 discount per person off your next rail holiday. All you have to do is book that holiday by the 30th of September this year, and you get that discount per person. You just need to quote the code that you can see on the screen there. That's RBWebinar 0916, and that's valid for any package, whatever you like, 4 nights or more. Any one of those. One other offer as well, which I'm really excited to announce, and again, this one's exclusive to the webinar. It won't be on the Railbookers website. It won't be passed on to anybody else. It's only for everybody attending here today, is that you can save up to 10% on any 2017 Venice Simplon-Orient Express holiday that's booked before the 30th of September 2016. So some great savings to be had on what is, I'm sure you'll agree, a wonderful, inspiring trip. All you have to do to redeem that is to quote the promo code. Again, you can see that at the bottom of the screen. It's VSOE SEP16, so VSOE September 2016, and to make the booking before the 30th of September. And as Gareth said earlier on in one of the questions that came in, it would just be a question of paying a deposit at this stage. It wouldn't be payments in full. How do you do that? Well, it's very straightforward. It couldn't be easier. Our team of travel consultants are looking forward to speaking with you. You can call us on the number you can see on the screen. That's 0203 327 0749. And we're open from Monday to Friday. We're open from 9 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock in the evening. And we're also open on Saturdays, where we're open between 10 and 3:30. So, I'd like to thank all of you for attending today. It's really been a pleasure to be able to speak with all of you. And all that now remains is for me to announce the lucky person who is won £50 off their next rail holiday. And I'm really happy to say that the winner is Lorraine Wenham. So congratulations to you, Lorraine. We'll be in touch with you shortly to give you the details there. And I'd like to say thank you very much to everyone for taking the time out of your afternoons to listen to myself and to Gareth. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'd like to say thank you very much and to wish you a good afternoon. Thank you.